and let Big Spurt know the boss waiting for him to come kiss the ring. Minions. Losers. Big's brother was Big's brother sucking on the of his Big's brother. I want to say this. Hey, Big Spurt, you got somebody that love you. You got somebody that really love you. I'm going to leave it at that. Now, oh, and I love that person too. So, but you other sucking minions, you other glazers, don't nobody love y'all. They don't love y'all. The streets don't love y'all.
Picture this. Big Spur, the heavyweight in the room, being told there's a boss sitting patiently, waiting for him to come and show respect, like bowing down to the ultimate leader. It's the classic power play. Beggars getting told to kneel for their king. But here's the thing. Big Brother? Man, he's on an entirely different level. Whatever noise those wannabe players are making, it's just white noise compared to his presence. It's like the very foundation beneath them is shaking from his shadow. And I want to say this straight. Big Spur, you have someone out there who genuinely cares about you. Someone who's got your back beyond the surface. That kind of loyalty, rare to find. And just so you know, I deeply respect that someone who loves you too. Now, to all the other little imitators, the so-called menace trying to claim power, and shout out to the Glazers. Guess what? Nobody's really rooting for you.
Probably mad about Officer Ricky mad.
Yeah, they got Zip the Drip, got Officer Ricky mad. He went on a rant.
They said Officer Ricky jumped into Drake beef because of French, and French still cool with Drake. So Officer Ricky looking kind of stupid. Shout out to Biggs too, man.
Yeah, shout out to Biggs, because I heard Jay-Z made that call.
Yeah, he made a nigga apologize.
Yo, Ross, make sure you retract them statements.
Apologize.
He retracted statements to Biggs.
Rose, would you take the $500,000 or the dinner with Jay-Z? I'm gonna take the dinner, and I'm gonna tell you why. Are you ready to digest the knowledge, or you just wanna look at his watch at the table? Once I sat down with Jay-Z, it was a bidding war. I went and sat down with maybe 6 or 7 different labels. When I sat down with L.A. Reid, Jay-Z told him, yo, I'm gonna be the biggest boss they ever seen.
What was it like
they
meeting?
Was looking in my ears, they was looking me in my eyes, and they seen it.
The streets don't carry your name with respect. No real loyalty behind your moves. It's a lonely place when no one's on your side. And then there's Officer Ricky. Man, the guy went on a wild rant that left everyone scratching their heads. You see, he jumped into the Drake V's. French Montana situation, but here's the kicker. French is still tight with Drake, so by throwing his hat in the ring, Officer Ricky ended up looking kinda out of touch, stepping into a fight that was already settled on friendly terms. Somebody call him out, because that one definitely backfired. At the same time, I've got to give props to the bigs. Those are the real players who made me who I am today. Big respect all around. And if you're wondering, would you take $500,000 or a dinner with Jay-Z? I'll tell you, I'd choose that dinner every single time. And here's why. That meal isn't just about food, it's a masterclass in real talk and wisdom. You ready to soak it all in, or are you just gonna stare at the fancy watch on the table? When I sat down with Jay-Z, it went way beyond a simple chat. I also met with 6 or 7 major record labels, but there's something about Jay-Z's presence. When L.A. Reid talked to him, Jay-Z boldly said, I'm going to be the biggest boss they ever saw. The confidence in his eyes, the fire in his voice, that moment hit like lightning. They weren't just hearing words, they were feeling destiny unfold right before them. And one last message, loud and clear, for Big Spur. Paul's waiting patiently, waiting for you to step up and pay your respects. Don't keep the boss waiting, man.
Let Big Spurt know the boss waiting for him to come kiss the ring. Minions. Losers. Big's brother was Big's brother sucking on the of his Big's brother. What's they name? Rory Maul. This what I'm gonna do. I want to talk about Big Spurt. That nigga, what, he ain't pay his taxes, how he went broke.
This is the real deal. No pretenders allowed. Big's brother? Man, Big's brother was on a whole different level. Untouchable. The real deal. You think you know someone named Rory Maul? Nah, that's not the one we're talking about. Let me break it down. Big's Burke. This is the guy nobody really wanted to mess with because he had a reputation that ran deep in the streets and the business side. But here's the crazy part. Despite all the noise, word on the block was that Biggs wasn't even paying his taxes. Yeah, can you imagine? A guy so sharp in the game still slipping up like that. Then there was that moment when he got caught with 20 bags of weed, something like that. It was a mess. They said he had no royalties coming in, no share of the business, zero cash flow. It was like everything that should have been his was just slipping through his fingers. And the way he talked, man, he had this confidence. You know, the kind that makes people step back. I make dames go in, he'd say. He called out those small players, the suck-ups and peasants in the industry, the ones who didn't have real power. Because Big's brother, he was the real boss, the true hustler. This is how the street bosses move. Never waste time on the small fry, the ones who don't even have a seat at the table. Forget the people making just a quick buck or those with low-level gigs. The real power players, they run the show, and if Big's brother wanted to make a move, he'd want you to come up and literally kiss the ring of the boss himself.
When he got caught with 20 bags of weed, some shit like that, they say he ain't have none of the royalties, none of the business, none of the money. Man, I'll make Dame go in on y'all you glazers. Sucking little peons. Big's brother was Big's brother.
That's how respect was earned and shown. Then there was something epic about May 29th, a day that stood out, a night where something unprecedented happened with a live orchestra. It was a first-of-its-kind moment, something so unique and grand that even the legendary Hov, Jay-Z himself, would recognize it. Imagine, the legends who have shaped music for decades dropped a nod of respect. This wasn't just another event. This was the next level, the kind of moment you could only dream about witnessing. It was a sign that the game was evolving, that the old school and new school were merging into something fresh, something powerful. You could feel the energy, whole teams moving quietly behind the scenes, making moves in silence. People say you can never really break that mold, but this felt different. It wasn't just about the money, it was about a mentality. Rich people, vibes, sure, but more than that, it was about mastering patience, playing the long game. That lesson was clear. I remember back in 2008, before dropping my second album, having a game-changing meeting with Hov. He told me something that stuck with me, something about the journey, about writing your own story and making moves that resonate beyond the moment. Those words made all the difference, setting the stage for the path I would take. Every beat that caught my ear, every rhythm that sparked something inside me, I committed to writing on it. It wasn't just about crafting one song anymore. It was about maximizing every opportunity.
And all the setup, that's how hustlers in the street do it, man. We're gonna target those, not the who ain't even get chairs to sit down, not the who get $300 Zales to talk. No. Big's brother, he gonna want to call me, come kiss the ring of the boss.
Jay-Z once shared a quick story with me about Big Pimpin', a legendary track that symbolized a pivotal moment in hip-hop history. I told him, all right, bet, I'm with you. From that moment, my creative process exploded. Instead of struggling to write one record for every beat I liked, I started turning out 40 records for every 80 beats I could make function, essentially writing half of what I worked on into a track. This shift catapulted me to a new echelon, not only as a songwriter, but as an artist hungry for growth. The sheer volume of quality work I began producing was unprecedented. It was relentless, like grinding on a whole new frequency. And that's when the real question hit me. And it's a question for anyone chasing greatness. Are you ready to truly absorb the lessons? Or are you just going to admire the shiny watch sitting on the table, distracted by superficial rewards? When I finally got the chance to sit down face to face with Jay-Z, the stakes were higher than ever. It felt like a bidding war was about to erupt. Over the next few weeks, I found myself in meetings with 6 or 7 different record labels, each vying for a chance to work with me. But the conversation with L.A. Reid stood out. Jay-Z looked him in the eye and said, I'm going to be the biggest boss they ever saw. You could almost feel the gravity in the room as they locked eyes. It wasn't just talk, it was a vision, a prophecy being declared. Meanwhile, I realized something powerful. I would take dinner with Jay-Z over $500,000 in cash any day.
May 29th, live band and live orchestra.
That's crazy.
This has never been done, never been felt. Well, you know, by the legends, Hove, shout out to Hove.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But
God.
yeah, but you know, this is something most definitely, that's something that I'm glad to see come to fruition. This next level.
Are we getting a whole verse on the album?
It's a good chance you won't.
In the first 10 minutes alone, that meal was practically already worth $20 million in ideas, strategies, and questions exchanged. By the time the oysters were cleared from the table, the discussion was weighing in at a $40 million valuation. And as we toasted with a glass of exquisite Luc Belaire, the scope of our conversation had skyrocketed to a staggering $250 million and counting. That's what it means to think like a boss, seeing beyond immediate gains and picturing a future that's bigger than life itself. Despite all this, the public still debated what really went down during those meetings. Some people celebrated Drake's new album as a massive triumph, applauding its success and creative depth. Others, however, felt differently, questioning whether the project truly lived up to the hype and wondering about the unseen stories behind the scenes. Expectations completely crashed. No matter which side people backed, everyone had a hot take, and the conversation spread like wildfire across every social platform imaginable. In the thick of that chaotic buzz, Rick Ross masterfully shifted the focus, zeroing in on Rory and Mal by reminding everyone about their highly publicized split from Joe Budden and their sudden exit from his popular show. That revelation alone stoked the fire, sparking a fresh wave of debate. But just as quickly as it ignited, the conversation took a sharp and unexpected turn when fans recalled a crucial detail.
Yeah,
You won't? Oh,
yeah,
damn.
you won't.
Yeah, he been.
Yeah.
I ain't
Hove moving around though. I can't, you know.
I ain't gonna say he been lacking, but every time I bring him music, he kind of like,
Never.
rich people problems. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's just rich people vibes. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have that rich person, that rich patience.
If people
you know
knew
what I mean?
how funny he was, man, like they might think about him different. Hove, man, he's a funny guy, man.
Oh,
He's
very.
hilarious,
Very,
bro.
very.
He'll tell you no with a smile
Yeah.
and laugh. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that type of situation.
Mal That Mal is actually the younger brother of Kareem Biggs Burke. This was no small detail. This connection transformed the entire narrative instantly, making it clear things were about to get a lot bigger than some back and forth comments. Kareem Biggs Burke isn't just an ordinary figure in the industry. He's a heavyweight with a legacy intertwined deeply with Jay-Z and the iconic Rockefeller era. Together, they helped build monumental projects spanning music, film, fashion, and business ventures. Partnerships that have shaped the terrain of entertainment and culture for years. So when Rick Ross dragged Biggs into the drama, many saw it as a serious escalation rather than just casual name-dropping. The online world exploded with speculation, eager to see how the key players would react to this bold move. Ross didn't stop there. He also hinted at Biggs' past legal issues, a detail that sent the discussion spiraling even further. But what made this part of the story even more compelling was the unshakable respect Biggs earned during those difficult times. Despite his challenges, Biggs has long been admired for serving his sentence with integrity, choosing loyalty over betrayal. That reputation resurfaced immediately, adding yet another complex layer to the unfolding drama. Adding to the intrigue, many followers pointed out Ross's own unusual backstory. Before emerging as a world-famous rapper, he worked as a correctional officer. This unexpected fact gave the exchange a deeper, almost symbolic weight, creating a subtext that fans couldn't ignore.
Which one would you choose? A dinner with Jay-Z so that he could give you business advice, or $500,000? Rick Ross explains why the dinner with Jay-Z is much more valuable.
I'm gonna take the dinner and I'm gonna tell you why. In '08, before I turned in my second album, I had a meeting with Hove. He said, Rose, verses writing to every beat you like, write to every record you can make work. He told me a quick story about Big Pimpin'. I said, okay, bet. So I went from writing one record to every 80 beats I like to writing 40 records out of every 80 beats I could make work. It took me to another level as a writer, another level as an artist. The amount of work I was putting out was next level. So you gotta ask yourself, are you ready to digest the knowledge, or you just wanna look at this watch at the table?
Suddenly, this wasn't just another celebrity spat. It was a layered, multifaceted clash loaded with history, personal struggles, and far-reaching connections. As the dust settled, everyone was left wondering, what's coming next? What initially seemed like just another heated exchange quickly unfolded into something far more intricate and layered than anyone expected. Every new comment was meticulously analyzed, circulated, and debated across countless corners of the internet. This was no longer a simple back and forth about random figures on the periphery of the scene. Instead, many began to suspect that Ross had zeroed in on someone deeply embedded within Jay-Z's inner circle, someone whose ties and history added weight and gravity to the entire situation. As the dialogue dragged on, the tension grew palpable. Fans and observers alike were on the edge of their seats, waiting eagerly to see if anyone else would step forward with a response, or if the story would remain contained to a select few voices.
Once I sat down with Jay-Z, it was a bit more. I went and sat down with maybe 6 or 7 different labels. When I sat down with L.A. Reid, Jay-Z told him, yo, I'm gonna be the biggest boss they ever seen.
What was it
and
like
they
meeting?
was looking in my ears, they was looking me in my eyes, and they seen it.
Some even began to question whether Ross fully grasped the extensive influence and delicate power dynamics at play behind the scenes. These aren't just casual connections. These are relationships that have been carefully cultivated over decades, bound by trust, business, and legacy. Whether Ross was aware of the depth of these ties or simply overlooked them remains uncertain. But what was crystal clear was that once those initial words crossed the line, a spotlight shone even brighter on this brewing conflict, and Ross showed no indication that he planned to back down. What made this whole saga even more captivating was how Rick Ross seemed to press forward with a resolve, as if he hadn't fully appreciated who Kareem "Biggs" Burke really was. Biggs is no ordinary figure. His long-standing relationships with the Rockefellers and his pivotal role in the music industry carry undeniable weight. This element added another layer of intrigue and mystery, sparking curiosity among countless fans who wanted to understand the implications of this high-profile collision. Adding another twist to this unfolding story was Ross's public support for Dame Dash, a figure whose history with Jay-Z is famously complicated. The tangled past between Dame and Jay adds a fascinating dimension, especially when you consider Ross's own background with Def Jam and his wider network in the music world. This complex web of alliances and rivalries suddenly makes the situation feel far more nuanced, highlighting that this isn't a simple dispute, but a highly charged intersection of history, influence, and loyalty. It's important to note that this doesn't mean anyone is pulling Ross's strings. There's no concrete proof of that. But as Biggs' name became a central talking point, fans naturally started wondering if some powerful players behind the curtain might have quietly reached out, trying to steer the conversation away or cool relations down. The suspense lingers.
And for the last time, yes, I would take dinner with Jay-Z over the $500K cash. And why? In the first 10 minutes, I'd already have 20 million in questions. By the time the oysters begin to arrive, I'm sure it'll be a $40 million conversation. And by the time we enjoy a glass of the finest, Luke Belair, I promise you, I'll be at $250 million and counting in conversations, questions, so on and so forth. But that's just boss.
Who's really involved and what moves are happening in the shadows? This wasn't just another drama. It was turning into a saga with ripples that could extend far beyond the initial clash. Before things could escalate any further, a wave of questions began to ripple through social media like wildfire. Every new post, every public appearance suddenly became a treasure trove for eager fans and curious onlookers hunting for the smallest hints or subtle clues. The pace of events only fueled this frenzy. The fact that everything seemed to happen in such a compressed time frame made the shift in Ross's behavior feel almost seismic to those watching closely. Less than 24 hours after his initial remarks, Ross appeared in front of the camera again, but this time, viewers immediately noticed a stark change in his energy. Speaking about Biggs, he then dropped the phrase, "Beautiful day to be a boss," At first glance, it seemed like just another confident, headline-grabbing line, yet a deeper look revealed something different. His tone carried a weight, a seriousness that hadn't been there before. It's important to clarify, there's no concrete proof that Ross received any behind-the-scenes calls or messages after his first remarks. Likewise, rumors about Jay-Z personally reaching out remain just that, rumors with no verified evidence to back them up. It's crucial to separate the swirling online speculation from the facts on the ground. Nevertheless, the change in Ross's demeanor didn't go unnoticed. Fans dissected every detail, his facial expressions, choice of words, even the subtle shifts in his delivery, and many interpreted it as a deliberate pivot. Some felt Ross was gently trying to walk back his earlier statements, offering something like a clarification without issuing a formal apology, while others believed he was simply exercising more caution, carefully crafting his message after witnessing the immediate public response. Regardless of the underlying reason, the contrast between these two moments quickly became a dominant topic of conversation, sparking intense debate across social media and leaving everyone on edge, eagerly awaiting what Ross would say or do next as the story unfolded. The conversation only kept gaining momentum, spreading like wildfire as more and more people chimed in, despite the fact that no concrete evidence had surfaced to confirm any of the swirling rumors. What really grabbed attention and kept it fueled was the timing of everything. Ross initially came out swinging, delivering bold, unfiltered comments that seemed to shake the foundation of this entire situation. But as days passed, his tone took a noticeable shift. It went from fiery and unapologetic to cautious and measured, almost as if he was carefully choosing each word. To many watching closely, it appeared he was trying to maintain the strong, confident persona he'd spent years crafting while subtly stepping away from the eye of the storm that had suddenly landed squarely on him. Opinions were split on what this change really meant. Some argued that Ross had reached a level of success so high, so secure, that outside influences couldn't touch him anymore. After all, when you've got money, fame, and chart-topping hits, why would anyone's opinion matter? But others hit back with a dose of reality, pointing out that the music industry isn't quite that simple. Celebrities might shine bright, but underneath, their careers are often shaped by complex business ties and behind-the-scenes power plays. Money and fame don't automatically shield anyone from the shifts and turns of professional alliances or the tangled politics that come with them. If you look back at the history of the music world, it's filled with stories of major artists who saw once solid partnerships crumble when business goals no longer align. Kanye West's high-profile splits with multiple companies often come up in these discussions as a stark reminder of just how quickly strong connections can unravel. Jay-Z, on the other hand, has spent decades carefully weaving a web of relationships spanning music, entertainment, and business. Relationships that offer some protection, but also require constant maintenance. Ross's own journey has been supported by major labels and valuable industry connections, a factor that's crucial to understanding why this matter feels different from typical disputes. This background gives people good reason to believe the situation here carries more weight than just a simple disagreement blown out of proportion. That's not to say anyone forced Ross to change his tone or that shadowy figures pushed him to alter his message. There's no public proof hinting at manipulation behind the scenes. However, many fans feel that referencing someone as well regarded as Kareem Biggs Burke could add unexpected pressure or significance they hadn't anticipated. The unfolding story was far from over, and as the discussion deepened, it became clear just how much the stakes had quietly risen beneath the surface. As the situation kept escalating, it became increasingly clear that Ross might have finally realized this wasn't just another run-of-the-mill podcast flare-up. The conversation had grown into something much bigger, a moment charged with potential lasting consequences. If that's true, then stepping back with a cooler, more measured tone, and taking the time to clarify his position could have been the smartest move he could make to prevent the whole story from spiraling even further out of control. After all, Kareem Biggs Burke isn't just some random name tossed into the mix. He's a deeply respected figure, someone many in the industry look up to, and once his name hit the headlines, the spotlight only intensified. It was like striking a match in a room full of kindling. everyone's attention turned toward the drama, magnifying it instantly. Within a matter of hours, viewers and commentators alike noticed something was different in how Ross presented himself. His tone softened, his words were more measured, and the passion behind his delivery seemed to shift dramatically. This sudden change swept through social media like wildfire, becoming one of the day's hottest topics for discussion. And just like any juicy story, the internet was buzzing with theories. One popular speculation whispered across timelines was that Jay-Z might have stepped in behind the scenes, reaching out discreetly to smooth things over. Yet, no one could find any concrete evidence to support this, and it remained firmly in the realm of rumor. Another camp believed Ross had simply taken a step back, reconsidered the whirlwind of backlash, and realized that continuing down a hostile path would only cause more damage. Regardless of which version turns out to be true, this unexpected pivot left fans and insiders alike debating endlessly about what really transpired behind closed doors. The conversations linger, sparking even more questions about influence and authority within the music world, an industry where connections mean everything, where long-term partnerships and future collaborations can hinge on a single moment or decision. It's easy to see why so many imagined a high-powered phone call, someone important advising Rick Ross to handle the matter with care and clear things up fast. These guesses have spread far and wide on social channels, but just as with other claims, none have been confirmed or supported by public information. What everyone can observe without question is that Ross's attitude during the conversation shifted noticeably after the initial storm. He started talking about Kareem Biggs Burke with a noticeably softer touch, showing far more respect than before. That change alone stoked a fire of discussion that refuses to die down. My task here isn't to craft a fictional backstory or create drama where none exists. It's to present what we see and hear, examine the facts, and explore the impact of influence in this story. Because when moments like these unfold in such a high-profile setting, they offer a fascinating glimpse into the delicate dance of power, reputation, and respect that fuels the music business. Let's dive into the facts that are openly known and explore why the reactions from so many people unfolded as they did. From an outside perspective, it appeared that Ross quickly grasped the situation was escalating far beyond what anyone initially imagined. When you decide to challenge individuals who have deep-rooted ties within a well-established industry, you inevitably draw a lot of attention, whether it's through private messages or public backlash. Understanding this spotlight, many fans speculate that Ross opted to tread more carefully, aiming to navigate the growing complexity before the scenario spiraled even further out of control. One of the most intriguing reasons this narrative continues to ignite passionate conversations is that Ross never explicitly admitted he was wrong. Instead, sharp observers noticed a distinct shift in how he communicated. Early on, his words carried a bold, almost fearless energy, full of direct criticism and strong opinions. But as time went on, the tone softened dramatically. His responses became more measured, his statements carefully crafted, almost as if he was choosing each word with greater intent. To some viewers, this subtle change spoke louder than an outright apology ever could. The initial fiery spirit that fueled his commentary seemed to wane, replaced by a more tempered approach. This shift left many wondering. Was he deliberately trying to ease tensions and prevent the situation from escalating? Or was he simply clarifying his original point, making sure his thoughts weren't misunderstood? In the world of entertainment, public disputes don't always unfold through grand declarations or official statements. Sometimes, it's the behind-the-scenes conversations, trusted advice from close confidants, or even the collective response from fans that cause someone to reconsider their stance. There's also a realistic possibility that Ross took a step back to review how his comments landed with the audience. Perhaps he realized his initial message lacked the clarity he intended, prompting him to adjust his approach. This explanation is just as plausible as many of the online theories swirling around. Given how rapidly this change occurred, it's only natural for people to speculate and search for deeper meaning behind the sudden shift. Yet, what's clear is that the public's reaction played a significant role in shaping how this story continues to unfold. The questions keep swirling. Did someone connected to Kareem Biggs Burke reach out to Rick Ross privately behind the scenes? Or was Ross simply reacting on his own after witnessing the wave of reactions online and in the media? Until concrete details emerge, these questions hang in the air, fueling ongoing speculation among fans and insiders alike. Or perhaps Rick Ross came to the realization by himself that the situation had quickly escalated far beyond what he initially anticipated. Whatever the case, one moment stood out to everyone watching closely: the shift in Ross's tone. He went from confidently pushing the narrative to suddenly speaking with far more caution, carefully choosing his words. That abrupt change is exactly what made many viewers call it a backtrack. Kareem "Biggs" Burke isn't just another name tossed around in the entertainment world. He's a major player with deep-rooted connections to some of the most influential figures in the music industry. That's why his name being brought into the discussion immediately caught everyone's attention. It added a new layer of gravity and complexity to the story. Was Ross responding to the public pressure and trying to clarify his point? Or were there private talks happening behind closed doors that we'll likely never get the full picture on? As intriguing as it is, there is no confirmed evidence that Jay-Z personally intervened, so any claims about that remain purely speculative. Now, it's your turn to join the conversation. What do you think really happened? Was Rick Ross simply stepping back to explain himself after feeling the heat from fans and critics? Or do you believe that the intricate web of industry relationships had some influence behind the scenes, prompting that sudden shift in tone? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because the debate is far from settled, and this story is still unfolding. If you found this deep dive intriguing, don't forget to show some love by tapping that like button, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this video with anyone who lives and breathes hip-hop news. And be sure to hit the notification bell so you're always the first to catch the latest updates. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.